name is Terrence. Dude, you're watching The Fro. The Fro.
All right, back for round two with Mr. Gizzy O'Toole. This is Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com. So, what I was explaining to Gizzy here, when he was first looking at the 70-300 Nikon lens, is the difference in price between a non-2.8 lens and the Nikon lens is about $160.
$260.
The reason I recommend the 2.8 or better when you're first getting started is because the lenses are the most important thing. You may not understand why at the beginning, but when you're getting better light, letting more light in, you're going to get sharper, brighter, better images that you're going to be able to freeze the action, shoot in places where you couldn't with a slower lens, and you're just going to be overall happier, because you get very frustrated very quickly if you don't know what you're doing wrong. And it's really the glass. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just that the glass isn't good enough to let in enough light. So here, finding out that it's only
$260.
A 70-300 zoom and a 70-200 zoom 2.8 with a little bit of macro in there, I always go with the 2.8. So let me explain what this lens is going to be like on a DX size sensor. A 70-200 is a 100-300 2.8. That's pretty amazing. That's a pretty good range. You're not going to need much more than that unless you're shooting nature. Nature, you get 600mm lenses. What's up, Terrence? Come in and say hi.
Hey everyone. Hey.
All right, Terrence.
Okay.
That's Terrence. He's a cool guy. So, what do we got? Where are we going with this? Why it's better?
Why is it better? Here's what I've learned from just looking at the two lenses. I put them both on my body. I checked them out, and you can just tell it's from shooting inside, from shooting outside. The 2.8 obviously makes a huge difference. I mean, we're talking about what this started at 4.5. I mean, we're talking about almost 2 stops of light being allowed in.
That's right. It's a 4.5 to 5.6. I was wrong. It's a 4.5, not even a 4. So right away, he's letting in more light. And Gizzy wants to shoot portraits and indoor wrestling. Indoor wrestling, right?
Yes.
So it's not always going to be great light indoors. But when you have that 2.8, what's going on is if you're shooting with the D3000 at 1600 and you're zoomed to 300 with this other lens, you're at a 5.6. You can't go any higher with your ISO. Your quality is going to look like crap. But let's say what happens when you put on its 2.8. If you're at 1600, and you have a pretty fast shutter speed, you can drop your ISO to 800 and still have a fast shutter speed, and you're going to end up with better quality. So the name of the game here with these cameras is to drop the ISO if you can and still retain or still maintain a higher shutter speed, because that's one of the most important things you need, because a blurry image isn't a good image. If it's out of focus or if it's not sharp, if there's movement, most likely it's not going to be a good image in sports. Now, we can get into the art aspect of it at another time, but that's really that in terms of capturing the motion. I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what I was going to get into. What was I going to get into?
I don't know, but I have something for you to get into.
Sure.
You have, the Sigma comes with a macro, I guess a macro setting or a macro feature in it.
It's more close focus.
So does the Nikon does not allow it because of the focal distance? Or is it just...
You can still do close focus. It's mostly a close focusing type of thing going on there. Honestly, I don't know. Tony, any input on why one would focus closer than the other? It's just the way it's designed, yeah. So it gets into the way that the lenses are designed. But all in all, invest in the lenses up front because you're going to be much happier. Those lenses you can take from camera to camera to camera. Bodies go away real quick, all right? So don't spend too much money at the beginning on a body when you can spend the extra money on the lens. Straight up, you're going to be much happier. So that's that. FroKnowsPhoto, Gizzy O'Toole. Later.
Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto here on the phone with Mr. Gizzy O'Toole, the wonderful curly-haired man himself.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good today. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. So let's tell everybody what your decision is, which lens you decided to go with, and why.
I chose that was a weak drum roll.
Terrible
I
drum
chose
roll.
the Sigma 2.8.
Okay. Why did you decide to go with that, even though it was, a little bit more expensive?
I'm a beginning shooter. I'm still learning, but I recognize how important it is to really put a little bit more money out front because, after thinking about it, going over, the pros and cons of, having more light, getting better shots, being happier with what I'm going to do up front, it's going to be the better choice in the long run. And I know that, and I just think after a little while of taking pictures with, a lesser lens, I'm just ultimately won't be happy. So I decided to just, get out there and just take the risk and put some extra money down to get a really quality lens that I know is going to last me a long time.
That sounds good to me. I concur. That is a good way to start.